In this video, I'm going to be talking about a concept I've been developing called healthy skepticism, which is going to be something I'm going to be talking more in depth later on in blog posts and also briefly in my book at the start of it, because it's going to tie into a lot of the themes that I've been talking about. And ultimately, what skepticism is, it's about a position that holds and reserves doubt in order to develop a better understanding of what's true in the world. And I think that if you take an extreme to skepticism, this can be rather unhealthy. If you think of an instance in which you're a brain in a vat, this can divorce you from everyday experiences that are beneficial to you, both mentally and physically. For example, if you're a brain in a vat, why would you need to eat? You could just have nutrients fed to your brain, right? And this can divorce you from everyday health behaviors that actually you need to be able to live a good life and to feel great at the end of the day. At the other end of the spectrum, you can have extreme gullibility, just believing whatever somebody tells you, or somebody that you trust who seems very confident or certain, or somebody who's charismatic and has a high professional position and presents themselves in a very professional way. This can mislead people through social proof. And social proof can put strain on psychosocial relationships by misleading people from what's actually true about the world. For example, gossip is a form of potential social proof that can be true or false regarding somebody, and then that can lead you to act and even sometimes stigmatize people on the basis of false information. So these are some of the harms that you get from either being very gullible or taking a very radical skeptical approach. And what's best is to integrate both a thought process as well as an empirical process of your senses. So developing your own independent thought, um, and to do your own research and to decide for yourself ultimately what's true, but also to be open to listening to what others say, but not to accept it as 100% the case. So this is ultimately just a quick overview of what I mean by healthy skepticism. It's not adopting this extreme radical skepticism that completely denies our senses, but at the same time, it's not completely accepting everything that you're hearing from other people. And even when it comes to senses don't necessarily confer ultimate truth. You can think of a mentalistic card trick, so like a magic trick. That doesn't necessarily mean that magic is real, because oftentimes the senses are being deceived. And there's a whole bunch of optical illusions out there too that can deceive the senses. And when we break down what's going on in the empirical environment and we take a closer look and we think more carefully about these, this can be very valuable in making better judgments about the world. Now, you might want to temporarily suspend your belief for a magic trick because you find enjoyment of it, but at the same time, adopting a belief that magic is real per se can be very harmful and damaging. And oftentimes, too, if you believe certain senses or your sense experience directly, you might be misled into placebos. You might have not actually picked up on exactly what's going on because things can happen really quickly, and you might think that you know what happens, but if you were to say watch a video or get hear what another person reports on that same empirical event who's at the same place and time, they might have a completely different view of things. And so you're probably going to need to have a bunch of different instances in which a particular event is experienced to be able to decipher what actually happened in some instances. So that's just one reason to be able to also be skeptical of your senses. And um, but generally speaking, your senses provide a good, reliable guide to what's true in the world. And that's all I really wanted to say about healthy skepticism, is to just avoid taking extreme certainty within gullible domain and within an extreme skeptical domain, and to develop independent thought for yourself through a combination of both empirical sensing and your own thinking, your own rational thought processes, because these go hand in hand and they're not always orthogonal. And this isn't to say that you should just completely dismiss other people, but to just hold beliefs and truth claims lightly rather than to take firm convictions in them. And that's it.